Growing up, I grew up in a Christian home. I was a believer for as long as I can remember. You know, I accepted Christ as a kid, but to be honest with you, it was never much more than that. I was an edgy kid, I was tough, I was pretty wild, cared mostly about girls, partying, and football, sports. Didn't care a whole lot about anything else. And really didn't understand a whole lot of the difference between grace or legalism. Like I said, I just had this faith in God, but I lived my life and did what I wanted to do and didn't really pay attention to the rules or what anybody else said or really what they cared about. Well, when I was getting ready to go to college, I had a few opportunities. I had a few scholarship opportunities, and of those opportunities, there was one that happened to be a Christian school. And I chose the Christian school not because it was a Christian school, more the reason behind it was because it was a very good football program. The football team gets there a few days earlier than the other students, and we're there for training camp. Well, I show up in my first day, and John, I think was his name, shook my hand, and he said, "I could tell you haven't read this book yet, and here, read this for me." My comment was, first of all, how do you know I haven't read this book? I hadn't, but how do you know that? And he said, "Well, I could tell, look at your face, your goatee." I said, "What the heck's my goatee have to do with anything?" He said, "Well, just read that book." It was basically all the what you can and can't do's, starting with no facial hair, no girls in your dorms, didn't want you listening to certain kind of music, didn't want you to have a TV in your dorm room, curfews, the list goes on and on and on. And just this anger starts building of all these rules that really, in my mind, didn't apply to Christianity. I mean, it wasn't my heart, it wasn't a relationship with God based, it was all their rule book, so to speak, of how to look the part and basically how to look the way they wanted me to look, but none of it was internal. If this is a Christian school, does God care if I have a goatee? I mean, does He love me any less? Does that really have an impact on my relationship? I constantly butted heads with these folks and constantly argued with them and refused to shave and continued to have issues from me being a hardhead. And long story short, they threw me out. I come back to Orlando, and prior to figuring out what was next for me, what school I was going to go to, what my future looked like, I was spending some time at home with my parents, and I had told my mom I felt like I needed to go back to church with them. That Sunday, I heard Clark tell the true gospel, talk about the message of grace. And did it change my life overnight? No, but I heard enough to know that, hey, I want to come back. I want to hear more. So literally every week I'd come back and I would learn more and I would get more, and I started to really understand the truth about the gospel, and it changed my life. But I just felt like there was so much hypocrisy from where I came from. And then you come back and you hear the truth about God, and you hear the truth about the gospel, and there's freedom in it, and there's peace in it, and there's joy in it, all the things that I know Jesus died to give me. I all of a sudden started doing good things, but not for the wrong reasons, not because I was trying to please some unpleasable God, but doing good things because this wonderful God loves me in spite of all my flaws, in spite of all the garbage that I've done and continue to do, in spite of how short I fall, that He loves me. That's what grace does. And Clark talks about grace being the next great reformation, and I know it is. We have a world right now that they see Christianity as hypocrisy, they see it as judgmental, and they see all the legalism. When they see it that way, I know what they see because I felt like that's what I saw when I was away at college. And I remember thinking, if I didn't know better and if this was Christianity, I'm not interested. And that's not Christianity. The truth is, and the truth about the gospel is His grace and His love for us. And I truly believe when the world hears the truth, the world will change. And this world needs the truth. And when people hear the truth, their lives will be changed and the world will be changed.